So I was just talking about colors and how when I started with the very early days of Color Me Beautiful, and I had to have been 21 with my first business. So anyway, then with Reiki, when Reiki came in really early on for me, color came in as the energy of Reiki and the life force energy of Reiki really heals colors within our body. And because the earth is a planet of color, it absolutely is part of the frequencies that we live in. So color is more than just sight, it's all frequency. And so our bodies hold that frequency. And the way I always see it in my sessions, they define it as chakras, and that's when I say see it, perceive it, that our chakras are colors, and our colors and our chakras can actually get depleted and injured and even feel like tar or muddy or empty or any of the above. And so early on in my work, Reiki showed me how it heals that within us. And so it's more than just the visual sight of color. It's the energy of it and the perception of it. And like the red of your root chakra is so important to feel stable, to feel, like, okay, things are stable. All the different colors. We have a different subject, so I'm not going to keep going too far, but it's actually all related.
That's what I was going to say, because a lot of people have color as their intuition, but also it's a place where it can start. And then also tuning into the chakras, and the colors of the chakras can be a part of it as well. I do want to side quest. What's your color season? Are you a summer or a winter?
I'm a summer.
Oh, you're summer. Okay. Anyway, that was a
You're,
question in the chat, and I was like, oh, I don't remember.
and you're a winter.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into
So
intuition.
in addition, that color has followed all the way through everything, every business, because I've had other businesses and kind of grew up with that, and it's always been a part of it. But how it relates to Reiki, thank you for bringing that up, Robyn, because we're talking more again about Reiki, intuition, psychic abilities, telepathy, imagination. And one of the ones that came in yesterday to really talk about is our logical intuition. There's a lot of times a big misunderstanding that intuition is only that kind of creative side, or imagination is only that creative side, but it all, like logical intuition, logical imagination, is a serious part of our human spirit and human nature, and we need it. So I'm just saying that out loud to be very clear, that we always need to remember that intuition has a very logical part to it. And going back to the colors, each of the chakras has a perception and a intuition and a color that when it is injured or when it is depleted, what I see sometimes is like one area can just, the way my intuition works is it's very metaphorical imagery. So I'll see it as, maybe a chakra actually has a leak in it where the color leaks out, or maybe it's just been, depleted to the point of being almost transparent, or sometimes it can be really muddy. And so I watch Reiki go in, and the same thing is true with it. It will do this whether you know what that's about, have an understanding of it, even intend it, because Reiki is always showing us how it's doing the healing work. So in all of these metaphors that I say I see or experience or perceive, it's always me watching how Reiki is doing what it's doing. I'm not making it happen. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about and don't have those experiences, Reiki does this work regardless of what we know about how it's doing it. So back to the colors, it'll go in and work with each chakra. If you find your perceptions are off or you get locked into something, it's time to look at your chakras to balance them so all your chakras and your colors are strong and working together. And you begin with your whole body being able to perceive. So I'm going to wrap it up because I could talk about color for a really long time. And maybe it's a whole subject that I think I'm going to write it down, actually. It's a subject we should talk about more. Robyn, do you want to add to all that?
No.
Okay. It all started with Norma and I are wearing the same color green. Uh, well, many people, I would say seeing colors is probably one of the first things that people experience when they receive Reiki. Clients perceive colors. And when I say see it, it doesn't mean you physically see it. You just perceive a color, whether you see it or you hear the color, because color's a frequency, it has a sound. So, how you perceive it can be unique for each person here. When I say see it, I'm aware of perceiving the color in each of the chakras and the vibration of it with Reiki. And so you see it as a teacher, kind of, it's actually one of the things that people commonly see. And interestingly enough, I feel like I don't see it the same way other people say they see it. So people will talk about the colors and seeing colors they've never seen before or are not part of this realm as we know it, the earth as we know it. And I don't see the same thing. So it's going to be unique for each person. Be unique for each person. All right. And you say, Reiki showed me how. Thank you. I'm writing these notes down. All right. Well, Robyn, do you want to do any announcements or anything before we go
No,
into?
we're already pretty far into it. Why don't you just go ahead and get started?
Okay. All right. So what we are talking about all this month is Reiki and intuition. So we started with, what it is, imagination. Intuition includes so much of our authentic intellect. It's our gut brain, it's our heart brain, it's our head brain. And all parts of us have intuition. Each chakra has intuition. And so part of what Reiki does is helps us to identify the areas that have need healing, the areas that have been suppressed within us, or perhaps whatever is going on currently has kind of knocked it all out of whack. And it's hard to get to it because of empathy. So we've been talking about it so far this month, and we're doing a 5-part series. And when you see our emails coming through, by the way, it's because we are actually writing blogs also about these same subjects. we can't do it right after we talk about it here, so you get it here first, and then probably next month is when we can actually get the blogs published and written. So we're trying to really help develop the how to use Reiki every day. Like, how do you use it for your daily life? That can be as a practitioner, but it also is for just your daily life management. So, intuition, what we're talking about this week is how does Reiki heal blocks to your inner awareness, your intuition, your psychic abilities, your authentic intellect, your imagination, your instincts, your inner knowing, your inner truth, and where the blocks come from, and then why it matters, and how you learn to trust your intuition to be able to hear you, listen to you, and hear you, and how Reiki energy will actually, like specific skills on how you can use Reiki to help clear and heal from any blocks to intuition. And yesterday, the big one that really came in for me is how much empathic stress the world is in today. And it is a big part of intuition. So many people, both with intuition, inner awareness, and empathy, um, where, grew up in environments where inner knowing wasn't valued. Children were often told they're too sensitive, even as adults. We can be called too sensitive, and we feel too sensitive because we can pick up on the empathic energies all around us and walk into a room and pick up the empathic energies. And we don't even have to leave the house, and we can still pick up on those empathic energies. And so when you're not taught how to use that, and because there are so many different levels of empathy and what that means for people, it's like, I would have to say my parents weren't particularly empathic people. So as an empathic child, I, they didn't actively suppress it. I guess they did. It was just normal. Um, children should be seen and not heard, or I'll give you something to cry about. I'm sure many of us remember those statements. But anyway, empathy wasn't taught. And it wasn't even naturally because they didn't have it. Actually, I would say too, in my parents' generation and then their parents' generation, like they really just didn't go there. A lot of it, they were in so much more survival that, they were just like, yeah, that happened, move on. This is happening, move on. And so they didn't recognize it in themselves enough to even teach it to their children. And so we can also have limitations due to a religious or cultural traditions that can identify some of those things as too sensitive rather than a gift, because it can feel like it's, if you feel too sensitive or you're psychic and you don't know what to do with it and nobody knows how to talk to you about it, what do you do with that? And we see it all around us. I think the generation of kids coming in really have heightened sensitivities, and it's part of the adjustment that many of them go through. We can have ancestral trauma. I would say a good amount of us in this group, people who are following energy healing practices, often have ancestral trauma. Witch hunts, just plain, all the differences and the changes in spirituality and healing and those abilities over multiple cultures and different ways. And then also, we're going to put it into the meta category of there's just plain a part of the earth that is in duality. And our authentic intellect, our natural human gifts and abilities are evolving. And so we are in a time frame where these abilities are coming back. There are those of us actively pursuing them. We're actively pursuing remembering, because the earth is a planet of duality. And it is also, so far, often by the spirit realms called the planet of the great forgetting. And when we are spirits deciding we're going to incarnate here, it's the same way we can't imagine what it's like to be in the full remembering. When you're in the spirit realm, you can't imagine what it's like to be in the great forgetting either. You can know some of it. And then you find out that many of us were actually incarnate, knowing that we're coming in right now to return these natural human abilities and develop the skills to do that, to have mindfulness, mind management, understanding of our intuition, our imagination, our inner knowing, and most of all, that it leads to your ability to get to your inner truth. And then the big piece is your inner authority, that you get to investigate, know, and live from the perspective of your inner truth. And that means something different for everybody too. So that's why it can seem so complicated. It's individual, it's familial, like your family will have some perceptions of it. Some people in here completely grew up with teachings of their intuition, of their gifts in, being able to, have their inner knowing, their inner spirituality, their inner truth. So not everybody here has the same experience. But it's also a pretty collective experience. And so I don't always question why or go back to, well, what happened? And I'm definitely not going to go back to the human shaming of it all. I don't know. I have past lives of memories of whys and whats, but really where I want to go today is in what are the skills that we can use with Reiki energy that gives us the ability to access our intuition, to have access to our imagination, our inner truth, our inner authority, to know what our empathy is about, and to be able to manage empathy, to have skill with it. In my particular experience of this, I had to learn skill with my empathy. First of all, even recognizing what it is, that I could perceive the feelings of my environment all around me, all the way to the the whole world. So animals on the other side of the world, people on the other side of the world, or a tree on the other side of the world, I can feel those energies. So I had to first learn that I could feel them. And then I had to learn what what do I do about that, and what are the choices that I have in managing my empathy? Where do I go with my mind with it? And recognizing when I'm in it. So I want to talk about some of the fears that we can have, why we can be afraid of our intuition. psychic abilities, you can think about it. There's a lot of fears around it, real, imagined, and also because if you feel like you have a lack of skill with it, then the fears feel more like kind of scattered, like this could be wrong or that could happen. So fear of being wrong, that's another one. Either if it's intuition for our own life or intuition for, our families, or intuition as a Reiki practitioner. So misinterpreting messages, making mistakes. And here's the other one, fear of being right. Like, oh man, what does that mean? What are my responsibilities if I have the gift of intuition or psychic abilities and it's accurate and I can trust it completely? What happens then? And understanding that that's a choice. Being able to listen to yourself is first. That's what this is all about first, as you can hear yourself. How you share it with others is the next choice. You get to be private with it. You get to determine your boundaries with it. You get to be public if you feel guided that way. It's a choice. And this one, the fear of being right, can really hit that place of if we have developed invisibility, so we don't show how sensitive we are, how empathic we are, what our intuition is doing. So that can really hit that place. So that's another place that Reiki can heal these fears, because when you have a fear of your invisibility, what Reiki does is the energy of it, and you can use any of the Reiki symbols for this, and you can take a moment to just breathe. You can take long moments or you can do it on the fly, but you could just call in the immediate empowerment of Reiki as a whole, or you could use any of the Reiki symbols. But the main thing it can do is help you with discernment, because you can hear yourself. And so once you can hear yourself, and once you have, going back to all those chakras and perceptions, once you have your whole body engaged and you can hear yourself, well, then you can determine what your choices about sharing it are. And Reiki also starts to heal as you understand that choice. It starts to heal that fear of being more visible. It's a big one I see a lot in my Reiki clients, fear of visibility. And so healing that invisibility. And it's so funny because I can be very public. I'm really comfortable public speaking. But I also have a high level of personal privacy. Even though I'm really comfortable about sharing a lot, there's that place where I know I get to have my privacy. I get to choose when I use my voice, when I don't use my voice, when I want to engage, when I don't want to engage. And then here's the big one that's been coming up this week with empathy, is the discernment with it and the ability to move into observation rather than absorption. Observe, don't absorb. I am a person who observes, but I also have to always manage my empathy when I'm in the observation of the empathic stress of the world around me. And as we have been talking about it, there's so much, it's such an onslaught of it, and how our bodies aren't designed for it. We're not, we don't have that capacity to have this level of input and empathic stress. It's so global and it's around the world. So what are the tools that we have to manage it? It's part of your intuition. It's part of your inner knowing. So in addition to using Reiki and the symbols to actually, bring me to myself, I use Reiki as a filter around me. And what I mean by that is whatever symbols you have, for any of you that have Karuna Reiki, I really like Nosa, Zonar, Halu, and Hearth for this. But I also don't want anybody to feel like you have to have Karuna Reiki for this. As often as not, I'll just say Reiki all around me. But if I'm intentionally drawing symbols, I will work with the symbols and draw them as if it is a field around me, also the space around me. So I think of my own personal bubble and field. And by activating Reiki around me, now I'm in a filter of the external energies. Now I can hear me go to my intuition, go to my own personal, where am I in this moment with all of this? What's my inner knowing? How do I hear myself? And the filter of the outside noise actually travels through that Reiki energy. And my energy goes out through the filter too. So I'm not contributing greater levels of judgment, overwhelm, all of those things that can happen with empathy and intuition. So, anyway, it's all part of it. And bringing it all back to what tools do we have, what skills do we have to, to start with the recognition of where our mind is, where our intuition is, can we hear ourselves? And then what are the tools that we have to get there? So Reiki actually heals this specific everything. Like it it is the tool I use every day. Robyn and I and Danny and the rest of us have been talking so much about the mantra we have here in our community of stay stable, be kind. And when it all comes back to it, it's like, okay, that's where I want to go. I want to get to the stability, like my own personal moment right now. And, I have enough things going on in my personal life too that could be, I could feel out of balance for sure, or wobbled or intense. So I use Reiki and I think about that and I let the energy come in, because a lot of times when I'm in it, I can't sort through it. So just asking Reiki, create this field around me, above me, below me, let everything come through that filter, let everything go out through that filter, and give me that moment to kind of be in that higher frequency. So that's the next skill of placing Reiki around you, placing it in your home. I keep meaning to do it, and here's a great example of how It can all work is that I really need to do some house clearing right now. And because there are empathic energy thoughts and thought forms around the house that I need to clean up. And so I'm going to do that with Reiki symbols. I'm going to just simply invite Reiki, go around the rooms, invite Reiki for a moment or a length of time, and ask it to clear the energy and to bring in the higher frequencies of Reiki so that in my home I can feel it. When I walk out the door, another place if you commute, Reiki your car. So your inner guidance, this is why it matters and why Reiki can actually heal the blocks to all of this. And even if you're already really skilled, there's always more and deeper places you can go. Because your inner guidance is a part of your wholeness. It's a part of who you are. It's a part of your authentic intellect. Trusting your discernment brings you peace. And so really recognizing the energy of discernment, inviting it, because it's different than judgment. Discernment can help you with when you need to have good judgment, but it can also be that observe rather than absorb. And knowing that you can learn to trust your discernment is what opens the door to feeling comfortable and being at peace with your inner guidance and inner truth. Logic is equally a part. So Reiki, the next alignment that happens and the next skill, these are all different ones you can pick and choose. You have your own. But I work actively with inviting Reiki energy to come. I always call it from the highest heavens, travel through the moon, align through my chakras, go down to the earth, and from the earth and upwards. And that's activating my divine mind, my head, brain, my heart brain, my gut brain. It's called head, heart, and um, gut is called your, oh God, I did this last time too, the triad. Oh, anyway. But it also for me goes into divine mind, human mind, heart mind, gut mind, and earth mind. Like to me, the alignment comes through. And so that brings imagination. And logic is a part of your imagination too. Dreaming ideas, a part of your imagination. And then your instincts. It's another level of your inner guidance, your instincts. So here's the next piece of it. Empathy becomes a gift. When you are able to hear yourself, you feel protected by this filter around you. You can imagine yourself in that. It's a little bit different than protection, but it is also, but it's more like a filter. So that energy from the outside world, can come through, and it has that filter going through the Reiki to entrain it to the next level. So with empathy, one of the things that I've done using discernment is the awareness that I may need to really notice what stream of thought I am in. And I'll notice that through what I'm thinking about. And if what I am thinking about, let's say it is a fear, Well, yes, we need to be able to assess our fears. We need to understand what's real about them. But sometimes when they come in and they're empathic, I'm picking up on everybody else's fears and I'm in the stream of that. And so what I've learned to do is recognize it. And I recognize it for me, and this will be personal for each person. I recognize it first because I've invited Reiki, and I might do that on the fly or for a length of time. But I've invited Reiki, just open my heart to receive the discernment. So what I'm thinking about, if it is a repetitive thought or I'm going down some rabbit hole that it's just a rabbit hole of negativity. One of the tools that I developed is for myself, and I know this is more common than just me, I didn't make it up, but I've actually written down other things I would rather think about and the streams of empathy I would rather be in than the one I'm in right now. And recognizing that empathy, you are not stuck in the lower fields of empathy. You can actually lift into another level of consciousness and the empathy that is in those levels of consciousness. You can tap into an entirely different collective stream of thought with your empathy. It can be in the stream of gratitude. It can be in the stream of peace. It can be in the stream of innovation or ideas that you want to develop. And so, because for me, mind management is something I spend a lot of time on, I actually wrote down 10 different things that I would rather think about than if I'm in a negative mind loop and I've gotten trapped in that collective empathy. I will actually stop, recognize it. Again, I always use all the Reiki energies for it. The mental emotional symbol is fantastic, but all of them are good. So, anyway, I'll look at that list or I know what the list is, and I'll intentionally switch what I'm thinking about instead. Now, I may have to go back and forth. It's not always like, oh, got it. I may have to go back to stay stable, be kind. I'd rather think about this. And, within minutes, I might have to say that again to myself. But it's again, what tools do you have and how does Reiki energy help you with that? It takes you to your own authenticity. When we talk about your authentic self, your authentic personality, I think sometimes we think the authentic self means our only enlightened self. It's the sincerity of our own self for our own self, that we can hear our own authenticity. And again, how? How do you get there? What are the tools you have? And so, there are so many different versions of skills and tools you can use for this very topic. People do it with, in all different modalities. People do it in counseling. There's, I mean, depths of understanding and information around these subjects and multiple ways to do it. And in Reiki, there are so many right ways for you to choose to do it that works for you. But step one is having the understanding of what it is for you, and then how do you use Reiki to actually heal it? And then the next level is how does Reiki empower you to entrain to those next levels of intuition, inner knowing, inner guidance, so that you can live from that every day. And when you give Reiki to someone else, whether you as the practitioner know that's what's happening, that's what Reiki does for that person too, their way. So we love knowing more about it. We love knowing what the tools are, going to the intuition. One of the things we'll be talking about in the next couple of weeks is the actual living of it, because for many people, when you activate your intuition, that's bringing in new levels of psychic abilities, telepathic abilities. And now, what do you do with all of that? What are the ethics of it all? And so that's the next 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about this. So we're going to go ahead and move into the journey. So Robyn is going to do that because one of the ways Reiki heals it is through journeys like this. And we do these every single week in our Distance Reiki Share. And if any of you are new here, we post them on Thursdays on our YouTube channel and our podcast channel. And then now we're writing blogs about it all, but that's like next month, those will start coming out. All right.